call this meeting to order. Thank you all for being here. Let it be noted that we have quorum. Michelle is not with us, so we're going to forego the minutes at this point unless she shows up. We have no public here, so I think we can forego public comment. Anybody online, Glenn?
No, sir.
All right. All right. First on my agenda is the status of open projects, of which APB is the project that actually has technically closed at this point. They have some paperwork, the last I heard, that they had to finish, but that completes the VATI grant for them, and they were closing it out as of November the 19th of 2024. So we're done with that. I made mental note, last week I looked at the online documentation for BEAD. The latest date is March to hear something from BEAD. I don't know whether anybody here has paid any attention. There's been a lot of political rhetoric about BEAD, a lot of frustration at the fact that the program is now 3 years old and is yet to delve out any money. So the $48.5 billion they've held for 3 years and haven't done anything with it. So the pressure is starting to build. The new administration's gotten involved. The caveat to that is the new administration has also put a moratorium on all the spending accounts. So where this unwinds, how it unwinds, when it unwinds is still anybody's guess. The best I can tell you is I continue to monitor it every chance I get, and we'll let you guys know if I see anything that materially changes. Kevin, you want to take us through the budget numbers?
Our budget numbers are, everybody has a copy, better to read than the one I'm reading. Numbers haven't changed other than our typical payment for the poll. Our bank account with Chesapeake Bank is still at $66,696. We did pay a $10 service fee for a document. Other than that, everything's exactly where it was.
Okay. Done on the tower work. I had in my mental notes, it was like April or so when the county is going to be looking to take the tower.
Yes, the existing equipment that's up on the tower now was placed there with CARES money back in 2020, I believe it was, and BTS used that while they were in operation. They're no longer in operation. We looked for potential buyers of that equipment, no takers, because it basically being 5 years old, it's now obsolete.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to hire a company to take that equipment down, and then as part of our ongoing P25 emergency communications radio system upgrade, they'll be installing the new equipment, probably in the April timeframe. So, and the board has an action item on Thursday night to amend the existing agreement with SBA. They're upping their rent, obviously, because the equipment we're going to be putting on is a little bigger and beefier than what was up there. So we'll have additional rent. So from a budget execution standpoint, as soon as that broadband equipment comes down, I won't, debit the broadband authority budget for that monthly rent after that point.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Since Michelle is not with us, we don't have a consumer outreach tonight. All right, this brings us to the elections for officers. So I will open the floor to nominations.
Which officer are we going with first?
Let's start at the top. Let's start with the chairman.
I nominate you. No, sorry. So for chairman, I nominate Mr. Kidd.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Second.
Second.
Second from Carolyn.
So I know how to put it to a vote.
All right, voting, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Sounded like a train coming down the tracks to me.
Probably be better for somebody else to nominate the next person.
Yeah, well, shall we go with the treasurer at this point?
Sure.
I would nominate Kevin Bean for treasurer.
Second.
Russell seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Vice chair.
All right, yeah, we do need a vice chair. The vice chair's responsibilities would include taking over the meeting in the case of the chair not being present, being involved in, obviously, in the discussions. Other than that, I have no other information for vice chair.
He's looking at me.
Would one of our new people be willing to take that on?
You can nominate yourself.
Can
too,
we
right?
talk
That's
about the
allowed.
secretary position so we know what's, I mean, are we assuming,
Secretary position takes all the notes,
Uh-huh.
gets them ready for public, and comes back to us with them so that we can approve them, the meeting minutes, and any other additional duties assigned by the chair.
so in this case, this consumer outreach, was that a volunteered by?
Everybody pretty much volunteers. We don't, like, very seldom is it like irritating.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Russell,
Fine.
do you have a preference?
I'm not a good note taker. I'm not a big.
Well,
Yeah.
we're technically,
Technically, she's not a.
Michelle
yes.
is still with us, she's just
Right.
not present tonight.
Right.
So but
Still secretary.
we still would be voting on the secretary, so this is an appropriate discussion.
Okay.
Um,
I've been secretary on other things and I type 100 words a minute, so I probably am.
All right, I would nominate Carolyn for secretary.
She talked herself right into it.
I figured.
Yeah.
Yep.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. And I would nominate Russell as vice chair.
Second.
Carolyn second. All in favor, say aye.
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 And by the way, this is about the way it's gone the 2 years that I've been
Okay.
involved, so.
Yeah, there's not a lot of heavy competition for any particular position.
And obviously, I got the notes tonight.
Appreciate that. I didn't bring my laptop.
These meetings are recorded, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you needed to go back and watch it again, you can.
Okay.
As
On
far as,
YouTube.
you know,
Yes.
for minutes, you know.
For minutes, that's a
Uh-huh.
good point.
Yeah.
Why can't we just submit the video as minutes?
Doesn't work that way.
Are you sure? Is there a law that says it has to be hard copy?
They have to be
I'm gonna say
reviewed
yes.
and approved, so.
We all go watch the video, review it, and approve it.
I would like to see some prior minutes so I know what the standards are.
They are all
On the
online.
website.
Okay.
They're on the website. If you go to the meetings and minutes, you can see as many as your heart desires,
Alright.
going all the way back to 2018.
Got it.
Really? We've been around not that long?
Yeah. All right, the last thing on my agenda for this evening, and before I open the forum to you guys, is the annual review of the bylaws. Now, last year, we made one minor change to bylaws. which we allowed any member serving on the board to be responsible for updates to the website. I have been doing that, and I have no problem with continuing to do that. So there is absolutely nothing that I saw in a review of the bylaws that would need changing. But I would offer that we can leave this as an agenda item for the future, since we have two new members. And I'm sure you would want to read those before you say yay or nay. So we will leave that as it is and leave it open for the next meeting. All right.
Is this one of those instances where we should technically leave the meeting open until the next meeting?
No.
I mean,
Just make sure.
the board can change bylaws at any meeting
Yeah.
with a majority vote.
We've just,
This one makes
it's just been an agenda item that we typically have handled on the February.
Yeah, Don's really good at making sure we stick to the script.
All right, in the interest of time, as I know, Carolyn, you're short on time, is there anything
What did
on
you
your
skip?
mind?
What is E?
What is E?
Designation
What is
of
that?
designation.
Oh, thank you.
Broadband Authority.
The Northern Neck Broadband Authority, I have been serving in that capacity last year. Are they even going to continue meeting at this point? I defer to Don, who attended the last meeting.
I don't, well, that's a good question. I don't know if the Northern Neck Broadband Authority is going to continue. When the Lancaster County Broadband Authority was established in 2018, that's the main focus for us.
Right.
I really don't have a good answer for you on the status of the Northern Neck.
I will take an action item to check into it and see what I can find out. And I have no qualms about continuing to serve. The idea is that the local presence should make it possible for us to be involved. We had a couple of board members that were remote, so they were unable to attend anything by the Northern Neck PDC. Northern Neck PDC is a multi-county jurisdiction, obviously the Northern Neck counties. And originally, the deployment started in Westmoreland and Richmond County and moved this way. So Lancaster was actually late to the table, so to speak. with
So the
becoming-
other counties of the Northern Neck have their own broadband authority, or are
They
they
all
covered
have
by the-
broadband, they all have their own organizations, yes.
No.
Well, I don't know if all of them do. I know Northumberland does now.
Yeah.
I think Northumberland's fell apart.
Well, I don't know, but, I mean, we started ours first. Lancaster was the first, and for good reason. And,
We actually, so DBL history, we actually went to vendors with the design already done. We went and paid for their software that's out of Australia. Basically, thanks to IT here,
Why is,
we had all the addresses put into the system. It built a complete network. Everything you need down to box count, in count, everything. So when they all went to the table, they went empty-handed. When we went to the table, like, the design's already done. Like, solid, up to standard, everything. Which saved us, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's saved us $75,000.
Dollars.
I mean, when Westmoreland, Richmond, and Northumberland joined the APB Dominion Power Project, it cost each one of their counties' match was $650,000 toward that grant. Lancaster's match was $575,000 because of the work that the Broadband Authority had done to create a lot of documents ahead of time that APB they wouldn't have to do because we had already done them. So it saved us $75,000, the local match toward that grant project.
So that was part of the 2,165 addresses that
Yeah.
became APB's take?
Yeah, that was part of
Okay.
that original APB Dominion Power grant proposal with DHCD, the VADI program.
VADI program.
Yeah, so.
Okay. So, yeah, and the reason for my question is I've tried to look at the FCC database, which says 64 or 67% broadband ready, depending on fiber or coax. 64% is coax, and broadband or coax fiber is 67%. I can't find anywhere where it tells me homes passed. Now, when you add to that, 2,165 addresses in APB are not part of that number. So that puts us 80-some percent. I mean, if you look at the 2020 census numbers, don't quote me, but it was 7,400 and some homes in the county. So that would be the census that would be used to do homes passed. So, you know, I was trying to back into a number to see what the problem is that we still have to solve. And I haven't been successful in doing that, but I'm continuing to work on it at every angle I can. So,
And I know from like our personal, like in-county data, we came up with, it was like, we had 119 houses, I think, we were gonna not be serviced when the initial VATI was
Yeah.
completed.
So, and none of this adds up, right? Because
Yeah.
we have the outstanding BEAD program, which is, my memory wants to say 356 homes. So you just came up with 119 missing off of the VATI numbers. So these numbers just don't jive.
Yeah, they don't, you're right.
So I continue to work on that, and I would love any information anybody has. I'll continue to beat the bushes, but I don't have any better numbers at this point in time. Be happy to share what I have with you guys.
Did you get that hard drive out of the,
Well, we have the VATI grant numbers.
do you have that, did you get the hard drive out of the filing cabinet? There's a hard drive in there,
I got the files off of the hard
so it
drive.
wasn't in that.
Nothing useful on that hard drive. All right, does anybody have anything else? Don?
No, I mean, I'm just wondering, are y'all gonna set a meeting date moving forward now? You know, a set meeting every other month, are you gonna continue with that? Is that on your agenda? Because I haven't seen your agenda.
Yeah, we talked about that a moment ago. Now Carolyn has some travel plans. Did you determine what date?
I know what our next one is. We have an implementation scheduled on May
I'm
1st,
inclined to
but-
think we should hold one in March.
Yeah.
And the reason is because I think Michelle is going to depart, and we need to deal with
I
that.
think really what we need to do though is go back to a pattern, like the third Thursday of every other month or something.
I'm
so
okay with that.
Yeah.
So that people know it happens on this day.
That would be good.
All right.
I just can't do the first Thursday.
All right, so shall, in that vein, since we're meeting in February,
This is one of those you need to scroll, like, do your whole year calendar and see what it looks like. Gentleman's name that came in and called us and addressed us?
Yeah, Howard Kaiser last month.
Did you want to meet in
I
March
went
though
to his
first?
house. And
what Kevin's advocated, since we're meeting in February, our next meeting would be on the every other month schedule,
Let's just go right.
would be
to-
in April.
Yeah. Let's see.
And we had typically meet on the second Thursday. So that would be April the 10th. In fact, it's on my calendar for April the 10th.
Yep, that works good.
So, following that,
and the time is good for people.
5 PM
Yeah,
works?
that's fine.
Okay,
5 good for you?
Yes.
good for you folks?
So it sounds like you're gonna continue with that second Thursday at 5 p.m.
We'll do the second Thursday,
other month.
every other month, as it has been, until we see that needs change.
On the 10th, we've got a county budget tax rate work session.
At 5:30 or 5 o'clock?
I
Is that-
I had it down from 5 to 7. but
Okay,
I could have put the wrong start time, but
Yeah,
that's what I had.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's, because during budget season, the board does have a few extra meetings. I appreciate that, Craig, because I hadn't put those in my calendar yet. So April 10th at 5 o'clock is actually a board budget meeting. Y'all could meet at, say, 4, if you wanted to.
Make sure that you annotate so we can put that out 72 hours in advance since it's a change.
Well, if we decide tonight, I'll post it this week. So,
That's fine.
4 o'clock work for April 10th?
Yep.
Yeah, and then, then after that, you could go back to the 5 o'clock if that works better.
Went to his house, cable's running that way, and the intersection right before you turn to go to his road, cable and fiber are running that way. He's straight across the street from some oyster house, and they have both services. But that drive is a private drive,
Yeah.
so that's where the problem runs into. It's a drive through some swamp, basically.
Yeah.
So.
All right, anything else?
I would like to add, since you have set a regular meeting schedule now, again, the board has in the past appreciated an update from the Broadband Authority. So on those months when you do have meetings, it would be nice if you could also have someone address the Board of Supervisors with an update that same month.
Typically, we just rotate that through.
Yeah,
take
and-
turns.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and the board meets the last Thursday of every month at 7 o'clock, so.
It's just a report out.
Yeah, it's just an update report, just to give them, a heads up on what's happening.
You may get questions though.
Yeah,
Sometimes we get questions.
sometimes you get questions. And the main thing from a board standpoint, and Craig can correct me if I'm wrong, but with the rollout of the APB, Dominion Power and Northern Neck Electric project, it's had great results. Everybody's very pleased with that service. But there were some people that fell through the cracks, and that's the ones that the Board of Supervisors is very concerned about picking up. That they have broadband at some point in the future. And I know BEAD is going to pick up, supposed to pick up the majority of them.
We have 5 organizations who have put in for BEAD in Lancaster County.
Yeah.
So we have Starlink, we have BreezeLine, we have APB, we have Verizon, and we have Amazon Cooper. And Amazon Cooper is yet one more satellite provider. So there are 5 of them, and the only reason I know this is because I read every single BEAD proposal that's on the website. Because there's nothing out there that tells you by county that they're doing this.
Yeah.
So I'll be happy to, let's see, the 27th is Board of Supervisors?
Well, are you talking April now? I'm not talking about this coming Thursday night, because we've got a long meeting schedule.
Okay.
So I don't, but April, it would be the last Thursday, let's see, it'd be April 24th at 7 p.m.
So basically, typically.
Yeah, so basically, whatever month y'all meet, just also plan on giving an update to the board that same month.
I can handle that. I don't have any issues that I see, so I'll plan on attending that.
Do you all, I've been to these meetings now for, I don't know, a couple of years. I keep hearing all these different dates of people who are falling through the cracks right now, when they may or may not be lined up to get service under one of the programs. Is there any definite information we can put out to people? Because I get asked that question a lot, and I'm sort of like, well, maybe here, maybe there, but don't really know. Or is that just what we're stuck with?
I think it's what we're stuck with, to be
Okay.
honest. I have personally been involved with a couple of cases. We still do take occasional emails on our website. And these days, the questions are typically, I'm not falling through the cracks. They promised me this date, it's passed. They can't tell me when. And I've been taking those directly to Tom Ennis. And he's handled them, so unfortunately, he's not done a good job of getting back to me either on telling me what's going on with some of them.
So is that a case of where they're not getting coverage to somebody they should be? Is that what's happening there? Am I hearing that right?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
It's a case of the customer has paid the $199 fee for connectivity. They were given some sort of date
And they
to
haven't.
expect it, and then the date passed, and they still don't have service. And the last case was kind of, it sounded like, from the customer's perspective, that there was some kind of engineering snafu, and it was going back and forth with a couple of people in APB, and that's when I took it to Tom.
Do you think there's a lot of that?
I am not hearing a lot of that,
Okay.
no. I mean, it begs the question, I would love to know if you're getting those kinds of comments, we probably ought to circle back at least at our meetings and say, you know, we've had, 4 instances of this. I can start keeping track of what's on the web.
Yeah.
But it's literally one at a time
Okay.
is what I'm seeing.
And I think the issue with the town of Kilmarnock, that, Dominion and the town had to agree on a new, was it a franchise agreement?
Yeah.
That, I think that, delayed some of the connections that APB had.
That
They
was a
fin-
big part of it.
They do finally have that
They
straight?
do have that now.
Okay, I hadn't heard that was complete.
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about delays from the franchise agreement. I do remember that one. That was 6+ months ago when that was playing out. The stuff that's playing out now is literally one-off. The gentleman that I'm thinking of just last week contacted me, and again, he's talked to a couple people in APB, and they can't give him a straight answer. So I took it to Tom to see if he can figure out what the straight answer is. Clearly, they got some sort of problem on connectivity.
Yeah. Well, I went on the site for our farm location, because nobody lives there, but I use that for the farm, so I'd like to but right now, I just use my cell phone and hotspot. But I went on early on and put my name in, and I've never heard anything back. Now, I will say, I haven't followed up in the last 6-8 months, so maybe I should follow up. But I thought I was scheduled to get APB in that location, which is just down Mary Point Road.
Well, I would ask the question, just to clarify, did you go to their site, put in the address, and it said you're approved?
It said it gave me confirmation that I would signed up, made it sound like I was on a list or something.
Okay, yeah.
And that is all I had done at that point. And I thought I would be contacted when it came up, but nobody's ever contacted me.
Let's explore how it comes up.
Okay.
After this meeting closes.
All right.
The
Be
reason
glad to.
the reason I clarify or ask that clarification is that they were putting people on a secondary list, for my words, not theirs. But if you were not qualified on the VATI run, so the original 2,165 addresses, they would put you on a list, and when they could get to it, they would
To do
serve
it.
you.
Okay.
Now,
And
the criteria on that was they could not add addresses while the VATI project was open.
Okay.
And the farm has Breeze Line running in front of it, doesn't it?
I don't think so.
Where's,
We'll look after
It's
that.
on Mary Point Road. You go down about a quarter of a mile right before you get to Willie Chapel Church,
it's on the right-hand side.
right on the right hand.
Yeah, APB's done,
Yeah.
not AP,
I mean-
Breeze Line has been down that road, like the main drag.
Yeah,
but you-
Breeze line's on every road, pretty much.
What you're missing, what I'm saying though, they can't service him until Vatty's done,
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
that was Breeze Line territory.
well, they can't,
Because Jessica Davis.
APB
she
cannot,
has APB.
could not add any
She's got it, yeah.
addresses beyond the ones that were approved
Right,
for
that's what I'm
that.
saying. He was
Yeah, well-
already serviced in their eyes. the feds'
There's
eyes.
some down Mary Point, because my sister and brother-in-law live at the end, and they got service and rave about it with APD.
Jessica Davis, you know where she lives?
Yep.
She's got
I farm
service.
right by her place.
Yeah, she's got
Yep,
service.
Yep. And so that's why, and I see the spools of wire on the pole going down
Yeah.
the road, but they're still there, nothing's happening. So that's why I was confused with it. And I'm like, I know if I'm confused, there's some other
Right, and
people
that's,
out there.
that's probably what's going on quite a few spots, is because literally APD did go down Mary Point Road.
Yeah,
So technically, when Batty was done, he was serviced. Because they were only allowed to pick up places that weren't getting serviced at all.
Yeah, and let's be careful, because I know that APB is closing out the Vati project.
yeah.
I don't know that they've crossed the Ts and dotted the Is and can say it's officially
Which is
over.
probably what's delayed.
So,
Probably, yeah.
and they cannot serve beyond that.
Right, so.
and I know there's some others that, that's why when I heard, oh, it's done, I'm like, really? It didn't, from what I've heard from some people and knowing my situation, I'm like, doesn't look like to me it's done.
And I
But
think that's where we've kind of messed up in terminology. The people that got served were unserviceable people, not unserved people. AKA meaning there was no infrastructure there for them at all.
Yeah,
Whereas it's 10 grand to run that line for you, but you're serviceable.
yeah, yeah.
So that there's that disconnect too that I don't think has been communicated well throughout the project.
Yeah.
It's like, you're serviceable, you just gotta pay that 10 grand to get to the pole. Because I know where as far, you got the big silos, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and.
Right before
that
you
cable
get
has
to
gone down that road.
The church
for-
down there on the right.
But he's 200 yards off the road, right?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
So,
That's
that's a
nothing.
lot, but for pre-Vatty, that's, you're serviceable.
Yeah.
And that's gonna cost him like 10 grand, because that's what they've been quoting everybody's like 10 grand, 10
Yeah.
grand, 10 grand.
It ain't gonna cost me 10, because I'm not gonna pay that.
But once that Valley grant is officially closed.
Right.
Then APB can go in
Yes.
that territory and pick
Well-
you up.
Okay.
And this is the concern that I have right now, because Breezeline and Vati, or Breezeline and APB both applied for BEAD funds. So, okay, once the Vati grant is closed, Breezeline technically can go anywhere they want and service anything. But if they put those addresses in on BEAD, my guess is they're not going to do anything on those addresses until the BEAD funds get awarded.
Right.
Because otherwise, they miss out on the funding opportunity.
They're not gonna foot the bill.
So,
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people in the county. I mean, I sit here and come to these meetings for a year, and I don't claim to, I try to sit here and decipher everything. But I know if I'm confused coming to the meetings, there's got to be a lot of other people out here in the same boat. And I don't know if there's a way that we could put some information together and just try to inform people a little bit more of either, all right, if they don't have it now and they need to do something in the future, this is what they need to do. I don't know. I feel like that we're probably missing something there. And maybe I'm wrong in that, but that's what I feel like.
well, my concern, like you, is that there's still a group of people that we know don't have service.
Oh, yeah.
And these are people that don't have broadband, so they're not coming to our website and putting
Right.
in a request on the website.
No.
That's right.
No.
And we need some way of knowing who's unserved.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm struggling
We
with.
didn't do the mailers, we did mailers for, like, that
We've
was
done
original
mailers in the
project.
past.
Yeah.
And we got data from those. But, I mean, when you say in the past, like he said, 2018, all that stuff was done, 2019 maybe
Yeah.
we did it all? It's
Yeah.
been
But
5 years
that's
now.
changed a lot.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
You
And
know,
I
a lot of
know
houses
Cherie
have gone
put
up.
together a mailer, but I don't think
I
it
don't
ever
think it ever
gets.
went out.
I don't
Nobody
think it
came
ever
to me
went
and said, Kevin, make this happen, so I knew it didn't go out.
Okay. So I'll take that.
Well, I mean, It's just a concern I've had, are we missing getting some information out to these people?
I really think that that's where the problem lies, is that there were so many houses that Breeze Line technically was going past anyway.
Mhm.
And like, all right, so take the difference between your spot and Jessica's spot.
Mhm.
Breeze Line didn't go nowhere near down that road.
Mhm.
So they
No.
picked that road up like, boom.
Yeah.
And you know as well as I do, when you first turn on that road, it's like, but you get deeper in, there's like, what, 7, 8 houses back there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Beautiful.
it's a lot back there.
Yeah.
So, so APB picked that up, but they can't service you because technically, according to the feds, you were serviceable.
Yeah.
Whether you wanted to pay that connect fee. is a
I
totally
can tell
different
you,
story.
I can answer that one real
Oh,
quick.
I 100% agree. Well, Flugerod, we had the
Yeah.
same problem with him, and he's got it now, and he's very happy. And you
Mhm.
know how deep his house is back just from the main road.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, he's way back in the
yeah,
woods.
it's way like on the creek. So,
I don't know footage-wise, but it's back there
yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
I mean, he got a shooting range between his house and the road.
Yeah.
So
And I will tell you from firsthand experience, I know too, when you, APB is able to provide service to you, they send you mailers, they send you postcards.
Yes.
They
I
let you know.
haven't seen
They,
it.
they actually buried the cable to the farm, yesterday at our place.
Okay,
So,
but now part of the problem is we don't get, well, there's mail, but most of it we just throw away as junk. I don't even look at it. So
Yeah.
if they mailed anything to that address,
They are doing
might-
it specific to addresses.
yeah, then
But they'll
that's
send
why.
they'll send 2 or 3.
and
Yeah.
I know for a
And-
fact that I'm eligible, like physically
Yeah.
able to get APB. I've never received a mailer from them.
Is that right?
Because I'm a Breeze Line customer.
Because you're served by Breeze Line.
Yeah.
Because you know where I live, like straight
Oh,
across the
yeah,
street. That
right
pole's
across
sitting
from
in
the
my
house.
yard, like
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there.
At the farms,
After the Valley grant, they'll
So,
come after
yeah.
you.
the farm's only a quarter of a mile from where you are.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I was like,
Yeah, I mean, that's why, and I've been sitting there, I'm like, I see the spools of wire, and I'm like, and I hear it's done, and I'm going, I know one that ain't done.
He's like, but it's not. And I think that is some of the community's major problem, is just that.
It's confusing.
And how to
Yeah.
put that information out and not be even more confused.
Well,
I understand, that's hard,
Yeah.
that's really hard to do,
Yeah.
but
That's right.
we need, somehow or another, you need to sort of have like the old, if this is it, do this, or give them some steps or something,
Right.
because I don't believe I'm the only one that's that confused. I think there's a lot more.
Well, and it's still, I'm going to sit down with you. We're going to start with the FCC map to see what the
Okay.
FCC map says.
Yep.
Then we'll go to the APB map and see what that says. But that's kind of, this is what I've been doing in the background with anybody that came to our website and asked for help. Because you're right, people don't know how to do this.
No, and if they did, some people are good at doing it, some aren't, so, but, I think just knowing, hey, if you haven't gotten serviced by this state. So are you telling me now that once they're finished with VATI, that APB may then come and do my
Yeah,
services?
I'm telling you that once VATI's finished, you may be able to call APB and be like, hey,
Yep.
your cable's right here. Can I get your service?
So when's VATI gonna be done?
But we also run back into the contention of this, because VATI, we locked in an installation rate.
Yes.
Once VATI's done,
Mhm.
and they're just gonna put it in for you, they're not gonna charge you the same rate that had to charge everybody else.
Was that 199?
199 for up
Yeah.
to 1,000 feet.
But I
Yeah.
haven't, like, from install techs in Richmond County that I know, he says he hasn't seen them, what he would consider burn anybody yet. Like,
He what?
burn anybody at exorbitantly high
Fee.
installation.
Is that APB he's talking about?
APB, Tom Ennis told me at one point that they intended to first honor the 199. They originally had a $99 fee, and then it was 199 by the time it got to us. And that was up to 1,000 feet, but they were not going to they were not going to charge exorbitant fees. I believe what he was quoting me at the time was $2 a foot
Yeah.
beyond that, which is still reasonable for running fiber.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen,
$2 a foot does sound cheap until you're 1,000 feet.
well, I've seen projects that are running miles, but I've seen projects running recently over $100,000 to run for 20 miles.
Well, I get what you're
Fiber.
saying, but even those big numbers, the average consumer ain't got $2,000 to throw at an internet connection. Because if you're 2,000 feet off the road,
Yeah, if you're that far, but,
1,000
I would hope maybe they would graduate it, so, the further it got, they could make it more affordable. But if you told me $2 a foot at the farm, and we're probably 250 feet off the road, I'd probably do that in a heartbeat.
right.
To
But
get
then-
it.
But then,
But-
like, so this other drive I go to, that's every bit of 1,000 feet through there.
What's that?
Mr., the gentleman that comes every.
Kaiser.
That-
Kaiser.
He's every
Yeah.
bit of 1,000 feet off the road.
And we need to do something to get that man coverage, 'cause he is at every meeting asking about it, and I can't blame him for being frustrated.
He's relentless.
I
Like
can't
said,
blame him. I can't blame
I
him.
talked to him, and he's eligible for satellite, but
He don't-
can't
He don't
afford-
wanna do that?
Can't afford the monthly.
And then the whole, like, engineering wise, he is 100% serviceable with 2 pieces of equipment change. But we can't go to APP and say, you gotta do it this way. We don't have that power over any of those companies.
Yeah,
Because we were talking about it outside. I mean, literally, the service pole is at, who's the seafood? Do we figure out who the seafood people are right there across
Where?
from him?
I
Like,
don't
across
know.
the creek, like this
It-
small creek.
Who is it?
It's Bill Davenport's fish
So-
hooks.
So he's
oh,
got.
Kathy and,
Yeah.
yeah,
he's got
Kathy and Bill.
service there.
Okay, I didn't know where Howard lived.
Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
service there. And it's not a big creek. It's like from here to the wall. It's not much of
Yeah.
anything. They could shoot wireless across to him,
Mhm.
but they can't until Vatty finishes. And then talking to them about, hey, is this a possibility? Because APB was a wireless service provider when this all first started, and we made them, we went hardline. So they have the skills in-house to do it.
Just, they're restricted right now.
As far as the Vatty goes, until
Yeah.
Vatty totally
Well,
closes up.
When does Vatty close up? That sounds like that's an important date.
I'll talk to Tom and see if it's officially
Okay.
over.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was supposed to end in December, end of December.
And then they gave them.
So, but, whether or not everything has been done to officially close,
Close it.
I don't know.
And they ain't gonna touch that, because that's a lot of money they would have to pay back for
Yeah.
violating the contract.
Yeah, they're not
Oh,
gonna do
yeah.
that, 'cause that was a $13 million grant, I think.
I get that, but we need to know these, I mean, if somebody's looking for service, I think that would help them understand where they are in the pecking order of getting it. Well, Vatty's gonna expire in 3 months, I need to be right on it then, or, that type of thing. That's just the way I'm looking at it. I may be totally off base, but people will ask me questions, and I'm sort of stuttering trying to figure out where they are, because
And then
it's so
hard
many moving pieces.
up here because, well, they gave them a 30-day extension. Well, no, they didn't, or, because, I mean, they could apply, you can apply for an extension of Vatty, being like, we ran into inclement weather, blah, 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 and pull it out another 6 months.
But they did not do that.
They did not, but I'm just saying, to communicate to the general public that this is the hard date, and
Yeah.
when that happens,
And they change
then
something.
you
Yeah.
wind up looking like, well, you're just sitting up there making up dates.
Well,
Yeah.
and again, we need to know the hard date when APB is released from their obligation
Right.
to Vatty.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that the paperwork started being filed in November, but that doesn't say that Vatty's closed it out.
Are we allowed to put out that on their behalf?
It will not be up to us to put it out,
Right.
but what we can do is direct, or at least on the website, we can alter the page to direct people and tell them that the Vatty project is closed.
And they should
And they
contact
should contact,
APB.
Yeah.
the same link will still be the link, but a different set of rules will apply
Yeah.
than apply under VATI.
Because I don't, just thinking of what I see, I'm guessing that that's a lot of people that could get coverage then, that don't have it right now.
Again, the caveat here is how many of those, APB was very active in adding people to the bead list. Remember, the bead challenge was unserved or underserved. So as an example, if you were on BTS wireless at 50 meg, then you're underserved, and that would make bead money available for that address for a 100/20 service. So there's a list of all the addresses that they committed to on bead. So now there's a fundamental question, will I serve anybody until after the bead
Bead.
award is made?
Which that's, you say maybe March? now?
March. Well, that's the latest I have.
Yeah. So that could trump, I guess, where the VATI was. That would sort of delay it some more from the
Yeah.
VATI, if I'm hearing you right.
That's
No,
where my
VATI's
head is, yes.
VATI's gonna close independently though.
Okay.
VATI will close if I'm across the street, you know, it's an if-then kind of loop, right? If I'm across the street and the wire's already there and I didn't put in for bead on that, then I might service that.
So if you look at the equipment that APV put in, they have these things, they're called NIDs. They're just a little device where they'll plug the fiber in and run it to a house. It sits up there on the cable. Like in front of my house, there's a NID there that has 12 spots on it. And I know for a fact we weren't eligible under VATI for service. But it's like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and set this area to be serviced so that when it drops, all we gotta do is run a line. So I've seen that in multiple spots in their network, so that's a plus. And I mean, you can, like you said, the cable's coiled up and runs past the farm.
There's
You
some
just check
coiled up
those
cable
poles,
paths.
Check those poles in front of the farm, you'll see a little black box. It looks like it has pyramids on it. If you see one of those in that area, they're ready for you. They're just waiting.
All they gotta do is run the cable to the
They're
house.
waiting for VATI to be like, all right,
Yeah.
you're released,
Yeah.
everything's met. Go do
That's-
what you need to do.
You know, that's what's important to know, so somebody can stay on top, but, you know, knowing whether you're under VATI or under BEAD or all that is really confusing.
And knowing it off the top of your head without
Yes.
too many
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
It's still, in fact, I'm interested to know when the FCC database will be updated. With the VATI grant closing, all that information should flow
Into
into
it.
the FCC database now. So
It's confusing, and trying to explain it to the average Joe out there is even worse.
Oh, yeah.
all they wanna know is when am I gonna get service? That's it.
It's a government job. We gonna take
Don't
it.
tell me everything else.
I've only got 40 years in this, so.
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys for that.